Hey, it's been a while. I'm Jake from Talkative, and in today's video, we're going to take a deep dive into TweenService. By the end of this video, we hope you have a complete understanding of TweenService and how to use it. Let's get started. For those of you who don't know, tweening essentially allows you to interpolate an attribute from one property to another. So think of tweening as the word in between. Rather than immediately changing a value from one to the other, TweenService combines them, giving a smooth animation as you travel from one to the other. Technically, any property in Roblox can be tweened, but some of them won't be noticeable. For example, if you try to tween a boolean from true to false, you're not going to get any middle value because there's only two options to choose from. But if you're tweening transparency from 0 to 1, you're going to see a very smooth fade. In order to tween an item, you need to provide a vast set of arguments. The first of which is the instance you want to tween. This one is simply a reference to the part or the UI element, basically any instance in the Roblox Explorer that you want to tween. Next, you're going to provide tween info. Tween info is all of the extra information, such as the time the tween takes, the easing style, the easing direction, whether or not it reverses, and how many times the tween will play. There's a bunch more within it, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more when we start to write our own tweens. The final parameter you're going to send is a table of the values you want to tween to. You can put as many values as you want in here, and when the tween is played, it's going to adjust all of those values at the same time over that time period you provide in your tween info. So it might sound a little bit confusing right now, but we're going to head into studio right now, and we're going to clear things up. We're going to do some practice, and then I'm going to give you guys some challenges with some tips in the description on how to solve them. Let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is tween a part from the start block over here to this finish block over here. The part we're going to be tweening is this blue part right here called tween part. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up a script. You can put it any way you want. I like to manage my server scripts and server script service. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to initialize TweenService. Whenever you need to make a tween, you need to get the service TweenService. So simply add a line like this to the top of your script. And you can reference this whenever you want to make a tween. In order to create a tween, you need to use something called the create method. All you have to do is set the value of your tween, so let's just call ours position tween, equals TweenService, create, and then we can put in our 3 parameters. So the first one we're going to check for is our tween part. That's our instance. So we're going to do workspace.tweenPart. So now the script will know that we want to tween the tween part. Now, in terms of organization, I like to add a new line for every argument because it tends to look a lot cleaner and you can end up with a really long line unless you do this. So the next argument we need to pass is our tween info. Now, tween info is technically a class, so we need to make a new version of it by writing this, tweeninfo.new. Now we can set all of our parameters. And as you guys saw when I was writing it, here's a list of the parameters, so you can use this whenever you're writing it, so you don't have to reference the API back and forth often. So we want this tween to take about 5 seconds, so I'm just going to send 5 because it calls for seconds in the first argument. Next, we need to use an easing style. Now, I want it to go at a normal pace the entire time, so I'm going to use the easing style linear. Now, easing styles are set with a enum, which basically means that there's a predetermined set of easing styles you can use. And the way to access them is to do this, enum.easingstyle.linear. As you can see, it showed a ton of the other ones, which I'll have a GIF on the screen right now to show you what they all look like. I'm just using linear because it's the most simple one. Next, I don't need to add an easing direction because, well, it's linear, so there's no time it's ever going to have to ease in or out. And we're going to be using all of the other arguments at a later time in the video. So I'm just going to keep what I have, and then I'm going to set up my table of positions. To make a table, all you need to do is do an open and close bracket, and then you can put in whatever you want to change. Since I'm only changing one value, I'm going to keep this on one line. So what you're going to do is in a string, you're going to set the attribute you want. So I'm using CFrame. So I'll be setting the CFrame equal to the CFrame of the finish part. So all I'm writing is this. Now we have a completed tween, but you'll notice that if we run the game, it's actually not going to run. When you create a tween object, there's a couple of methods that you can call on it. The most important one is play. Let's play our tween and see what it looks like. As you can see, over 5 seconds, the block's going to make it to the finish. The next useful piece of information I'm going to show you guys is the completed event of a tween. Every tween can be detected for when it completes, which essentially allows you to run code after or to yield your code. So there's two ways we can do this. The first of which is simply doing position tween dot completed, wait, and then add whatever code you want, which is print hello. So you can do this, and it's going to wait for this tween to end, so 5 seconds, and then it's going to print hello. Something that's more commonly done to prevent the entire script from waiting for it is to do something like this. If we do position tween dot completed connect, we can actually create an inline function, and in this function we can have it print tween completed. Now any code I put down here is gonna run regardless of when the tween ends, because this isn't yielding the rest of the code, but when the tween ends it's gonna print tween completed. So we can see that in action here. Now that our part has reached the finish, let's have it go back and forth for an infinite amount of time using all of the tween info arguments. So we're going to start with a new section, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a new tween, and like we did before, we're going to say local position tween equals TweenService create. We're going to open up a new line. We're going to reference workspace.tweenPart. But now here's where things are going to get a little bit more complicated. We're going to go to tweeninfo.new. And then we're going to set it up to be only a 3-second tween this time. And we're also going to use the easing style of quint. This one looks a lot smoother in my opinion, especially when you connect it with an easing direction of in-out. What this means is it's going to ease in and out of the animation. So it will kind of speed up at the beginning and speed up at the end. The next argument we need to use is the repeat count. Now, here's a really important trick. Repeat count can be turned into an infinite number simply by using -1. -1 will be referenced as infinity, and the code will basically run for an infinite amount of time. If I was to set it to 2, this code would only run once, but I'm going to use -1 so it can run for an infinite period of time. Next, we have the bool reverses. What this means is, if it's true, the tween is going to reverse when it completes. If it's false, it won't. We're going to set it to true, so that's going to go back and forth for us, and this -1 implies that it will be for an infinite amount of time. Now, when the tween gets to the end, I want it to wait about 1 second before it tweens back, just to have a nice little delay. The next thing we need to add is our table of values. We're going to use the same exact one as last time, and we're simply going to do CFrame equals workspace.finish.CFrame. Now we can play the tween, and you guys can see what it looks like. As you can see, it waits about 1 second before doing the tween again, and then it runs it for a 3-second tween. This looks really smooth, and it can be used for games like Obbies to have a platform go back and forth. It's also worth noting that a tween like this will never fire the completed event, so there's going to be no way for you to detect when the tween is over because it's essentially running for an infinite amount of time. Now that you know how to properly tween, I have a little bit of a challenge for you. What I want you to do is I want you to tween apart its transparency and make it visible. Once that tween is completed, I want you to start an infinite tweet in which a part will move back and forth and change to a random color each time. If you guys have any questions about this challenge, ask below. We'll leave a solution later on down in the comments as well. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, leave a comment if you have any questions or criticism for us, and check out the links below and make sure to subscribe. We hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something from it. Thank you so much for stopping by. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.